Good evening and welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, August 16th, 2021. The time now is 7:11. The first item under discussion, orders to be signed. Do we want to do that now or later?
I can do this while you carry on.
Oh, we could do a roll call. Eric?
Yes.
Art?
Here.
Mike?
Yes, I guess.
Okay,
Katie
great.
Dudley present.
And Tracy present. Okay, and so we have certificate of compliances that we authorized 19 Orange and 114 West Street, so I can pass those around. Town of Douglas High School cross-country trail fallen tree removal. Steve, could you give us a background on that? I don't see Steve. Do we have anything? Is anyone here from the town?
Steve is on.
Sorry, let me unmute myself. Let me show you share, let me share my screen real quick. Now, you want to see the blue earth?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so here's the entrance to the high school. As you're coming into the entrance to the high school, right about here, that's where the track and field, cross-country track and field comes in, and the Miranda's, and it crosses, this is a perennial stream, crosses a stream, and right about here, a couple of trees fell that look like they may be in the wetlands, and they're dangling, they're caught up on some other trees, and they're hanging up over the cross-country trail. Let me bring up a video. I can show you a quick video. It shows the trail. Is this on the screen, the video?
Thank you.
Yep. It's lovely.
All right, let me start from the beginning. So I'm right about where you cross the stream. There's an old stone bridge. You can kind of see the trees up here. Right here to the right. So John Farnham contacting, or Jeff from the what was his I think the superintendent of the buildings contacted me. They think they're too dangerous to do by hand. They want to get a piece of equipment, a backhoe or something. There might be someone from the school here. I'm not sure. Talked about it. I asked them to show up, but I think someone's on vacation today, so.
When are they looking?
Tomorrow, I'm the principal at the high school. Jeff asked me to step in today.
Oh, hi.
awesome.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for putting this on the agenda.
You're welcome.
So when are you, what was the gentleman's name and address for the record that was just speaking?
Hi, I'm Josh Romano. I am the principal at Douglas High School, and my address is 24 Sumac Drive in Townsend, Mass.
And are you familiar with the method and the timing for what work you're proposing to do there?
The method, yes. The timing, no. Other than that, we'll have cross-country meets starting pretty soon. And, our concern is the safety of the kids out there. So actually with school starting, kids use that trail pretty regularly to get from building to building.
Okay, so is it just the trees pictured that you're removing?
I believe it is just the ones that were pictured. Was there another set of trees a little further along the trail, though?
I didn't go that far up. I saw these. I figured that was it. Then maybe.
Yeah, okay, then that may very well be it, yeah. So, and I believe that they won't need to leave the trail to do the work that they're looking at, or at least that was what was estimated.
And who are you getting to remove the trees?
Hold on one second, I have that. Just bring up the email for it. So it's Bill Porter, who is a contractor. John Furno and Jeff Collette met with him on last Monday. He feels that he can get the trees to the ground with the machine that he has by going out on the trail, but he says he shouldn't need to take the machines off the trail, so the trees would then be brought down to the ground. Whatever's blocking the trail would be cut, and then the base of the trees would be cut so the stumps would fall back into the holes.
Okay, so we're leaving all the wood in the woods.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about any of the wood being removed.
Because we may very well condition that
Well, we're gonna make
That it
it
has to stay or that it needs to go.
it would stay.
remain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we can condition that. That absolutely works for me.
Okay, so because this is a safety concern, you're under discussion, but I would notify Steve before any work begins. Any machinery must stay on the trail. And no removal of any of the lumber that gets cut down. And no additional trees besides the ones that we were just shown tonight.
Right.
So, Steve, do you have any other comments?
No.
Okay.
I was also going to add no stumping. I know it's
Yeah.
probably understood. And then no parking of equipment overnight if it becomes, I doubt it would
Yes.
take more than one day, but
Yeah. No overnight parking within the wooded area of the machinery.
okay.
Board, any questions? Mike? Any questions?
No.
Okay. So you're all set to proceed by consensus? And please communicate with Steve before any of the work begins,
We will.
so that there's an understanding of where the limits are and what the board is saying for the conditions of the work.
And getting into them right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good luck. For on discussion, we're gonna skip over that till the end. Notice of intent, 55 Lakeshore Drive.
What about number 2?
161.
Yeah.
Oh, are they here?
Yeah, someone's here to talk about it.
Oh, okay. 161 Maple Street violation notice?
Yes, this is Mitch Maslanka. I'm here on the call tonight representing Denise Davis, the homeowner of that property.
Okay, so what progress have you made so far? Because we were expecting a plan by now.
Yep, so today the plan came in, the site plan came in with the limit of clearing, so I can share my screen if that's allowed.
Yep. Did you also email this to Steve?
I got it earlier. I got it like today.
Okay.
Is it in the Dropbox?
I think it is.
About an hour ago. There you go.
Can you see this shared screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent, okay. So here's our site. We had previous approval to work down here. You can see the house. Not much is shown of the rest of the property on the site plan. So the house is down here. We had a previous limit of work here along this line. Part of it was within the 50-foot no structure zone that they were allowed to work in, but the homeowner cleared some area back here outlined in pink. And that area totals 9,230 square feet of cleared area. And impacts are within the buffer zone to BVW as well as within the inner riparian area and outer riparian area. So this darker line is inner riparian area. So there's clearing in here. And then this line was the outer riverfront area. So there's clearing in here. This is the pathway, the new wood chip path. You can see it in these little dotted lines here coming through and then flaring out a bit towards the BVW's edge. There's no clearing in the BVW. It's pretty clear. There's, when I was out there a few months ago, there was water right up to that edge.
These are all existing
now
trees.
It might be a little different, may have dried up a bit, but this whole area has revegetated on the right side and the left side of the path. I'll share this screen. Oh, I might have to stop sharing my screen
I
for a
would ask
second.
what grew in there.
So this is an image of the revegetated area. So here's the wood chip path extending from the silt fence, which you can see down here in this corner. And it's a 165-foot long wooden path, wood chip path that goes up to the BVW edge far out there. And this is where all the clearing occurred. There was no large trees removed. It was all just the understory, which included sweet pepper bush and white maple saplings, not more than 20 feet high, I would say. And that's the same for the whole entire area off to the right and the left. There must have been clearing a long time ago that the whole area behind the house must have been cleared. Everything was growing up at the same height. And then there was this clearing here that just took it back to some herbaceous regrowth and also regrowth of sweet pepper bush and some white pine saplings. So it is revegetated nice in there. I haven't had time to put together the restoration plan officially. The site plan I showed you came in this afternoon, so I basically just did some calculations to get square footages of some area. So that path that you see, that's a 1,373 square foot path. And then over to the edges over here and over here, that is just over 7,000 square feet of area. So basically what we were going to propose for the restoration of this area was to actually leave these revegetated areas as is, because no large trees were removed. So we're going to let this area naturally regrow similar to the area surrounding it. And we expect that sweet pepper bush and white pine will come back in and revegetate just as it previously was. And given the intense growth that I'm showing you here, we don't expect it to take much longer for it to get up to its initial height and density. Those areas surrounding here are very dense, just as the revegetated area is going to be quite dense, as you can see. I'm going to switch it back to the site plan real quick to kind of go over how we plan to mitigate the pathway, because again, that's over 1,000 square feet of area that we would hope to keep cleared. That was the client's initial purpose of clearing the area. So she would like to keep this as part of her property. So we were going to propose some mitigation for this aspect of the project. So pull up the site plan.
Are you planning to refile for your riverfront impacts?
So we were not planning to refile for the riverfront impacts. We were going to request a minor field change for the addition of this wood path with the proposal of mitigation plantings within this buffer zone area. This is within the 50-foot no structure zone. It was previously approved for work, but we're going to propose that we put plantings in there to mitigate that pathway back there. To sum that up.
Sorry, could I just interrupt you? So was there any riverfront area disturbance in the original filing?
There is not.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we could even allow a minor field change in riverfront area. I mean, Steve can weigh in on that, but I don't believe DEP would even allow it without an alternatives analysis and meeting the regulation.
If you want it properly, if it's a significant change, minor, if you don't think it's minor, then you can do an amendment to the proposed.
So because there were no riverfront area impacts initially,
No, there aren't.
it's got to be some sort of magical mitigation that meets the act that we would be able to.
The amendment would, minor would, you wouldn't really refile with a whole new notice of intent.
Yeah, amended order.
But
Yeah.
the amendment, you put they file a whole new order, but they amend the original notice of intent, the EP number. Kind of what we're doing at 225 U Street.
It's not the same. Riverfront areas has its own section. But are you just telling us what you think that you're going to do for the mitigation, or are you looking for the board's direction on this?
So I was going to feel out what you guys were thinking. Obviously, I can tell you're not going to go through with the minor field change, so that's totally fine. I am on the side of Steve where we could file for an amended order of conditions, which, we would have to re-notify butters. It's basically like a brand new notice of intent, just instead of issuing a new file number, he just oversees the new.
They would add all the riverfront calculations into the amendment order.
Yeah, I mean, did you do the calculation? Is it over 10% disturbance? We don't even know based on looking at this.
Yeah, I just got the plan this afternoon, so I think Steve just wanted me to come in and just go over kind of.
Yeah, give us an update. We appreciate the update. I think it's, we're moving in the right direction. But other than full restoration of the disturbed areas and possibly signage and, a barrier, physical barrier, I think unless you can figure out a way that we would be able to allow it, it's up to you. But I can't even tell from this plan how many square feet of riverfront area is on the lot in total.
Yep, so yeah, we have some work to do. Getting calculations for you guys. My game plan from here on out is going to be filing the amended order of conditions and then proposing a plan that we can talk about at the next hearing, I guess, and you guys can weigh in on whether or not you think that'll be enough mitigation for the pathway. So we'll be back next time for sure. I will put together the restoration plan over the next week and send that in to you guys, so you will have a week to look it over yourselves. And then I'll join you in 2 weeks for the next hearing, and we can discuss the proposal and whether or not you guys think it's okay.
Yeah, and if there is some area that we previously allowed as a limit of work and maybe make up the 1,000 square feet somewhere else,
That's the house. It doesn't show the whole.
you've got a,
That's just the back of the house. It's the driveway that goes up to the street,
50 foot, no structure,
right? Because the house is on the edge of the buffer there.
on the 100.
On the 100, yes.
And then 25 foot, no touch. So, yeah, so we'll just have to see what you come up with. Board, do we have any comments or questions so far on what you've seen? Eric, no. Art, no. Mike,
see
no.
more.
Steve, anything else?
No, I think we're heading down the right path.
No pun intended.
Let's be vegetating and stabilize.
No pun intended.
Wood chips is probably the biggest area, the wood chips at this point, so there's no real structures out there, so.
Yeah, and just give us the material, the wood chip material, make sure that's on the plan. You know, all your riverfront area calculations. I think that the disturbance, as it is regrowth, is okay, is looking good, but we also need to have some kind of physical markers planned so that it doesn't happen in the future.
Okay, noted.
So-
I will let the client know.
Something to ensure, yeah, to have the board's assurance that this won't be mowed down, you know,
Okay.
in 2 years.
I just wanted to confirm, this is all, what was cleared and what's growing back is primarily sweet pepper bush? You didn't see any like multiflora roses or any other invasives coming in there?
No, but I was planning on doing a second site visit just to
Okay.
confirm that no invasives were out there the second time around.
Yeah, appreciate it. I mean, I don't know what the site looked like beforehand, so I don't know if there was before, but certainly if there's regrowth of invasives, that's the only thing we're trying to avoid with a mitigation plan.
Yep, that could be added into our mitigation plan for sure, just ensuring no invasive species established
I mean, just
in there.
the one picture we saw visually looks like it's all sweet pepper bush, so
Yeah.
that's probably fine.
Okay, thank you very much. And do you think that you will be filing for the September 13th meeting or October 4th?
Yeah, so since we're gonna be doing the filing for the amended OOC, yeah, since it's so pressing, I'd say the sooner one would be more ideal.
Okay, well, we like that. Is that a pinky promise?
So your answer was?
September 13th.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
So what would the filing date be for that one?
the deadline, 2 weeks
Yeah.
before September 13th,
Well, it's
August 30th?
the ad, you have to get the ad at least 5 days before, and it takes a few days, so, I mean, that's your critical path. If you want to place the ad relatively soon, we can do that.
And then if you can make sure that you use the updated ad notice verbiage.
Yeah, I'll send you the updated stuff, verbiage for that.
That'd be great, Steve, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mitch. Good
All
luck.
right, thank you. Talk to you
Thanks for coming on tonight.
soon. No problem.
Okay, old business, 7 PM. Time is 7:35. Notice of intent 55 Lakeshore Drive. Is anyone here for that? DEP number 1431026.
We continued that last week, didn't we?
Steve, have you heard anything?
We did continue that.
Right now.
We have a DEP number.
I know they,
These are all the files
they
from
wanted
July.
Their last email, I think they were looking to do change the plans a little bit. But I didn't see a request for continuance.
Yeah, we continue them. I don't-
Is anyone here on the line for 55 Lakeshore Drive? Last call. I'll entertain a motion to continue to September 13th at 7 PM.
So moved.
Motion made by Art,
Second.
second by Mike. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you. Steve, please let them know they need a representative here for the next meeting.
Cool.
Thank you. I'll skip over the other one.
We're skipping over item 2.
Public hearing, continued notice of intent, 175 Southwest Main Street, Lloyd Moran. Anyone here in the audience? What did you say, Steve?
Well, number 2 asked for continuance too.
Oh, I'll entertain a motion to continue notice of intent, Shore Road Lot 299, parcel 7.16
So moved.
Let's just,
to September 13th?
Steve?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, September 13th.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Thank you. And then, sorry about that, 175 Southwest Main Street. Anyone here presenting? What happened?
So I talked to,
Jude?
what is his name?
Jude? Jude?
Jude, thank you. From Andrews, let him know that they missed the last meeting. I thought it was a pretty simple, that it was just a minor change. I thought we were waiting for some information from him, or he was gonna get the okay from DEP.
Yeah, okay, from DEP, yep.
But I did make those changes you requested. I omitted putting the floodplain.
Oh, thank you, yeah, bordering land subject to flooding.
So I think everything else was good to go.
I need a confirmation that DEP is
Right.
okay with it. They were the ones that asked the question, and the numbers needed to be updated. If we,
Sent him an email, he sent me a couple of emails back, and I said, gave him the information on today's meeting. I know they're in transition, they got bought out by another engineering firm.
yes, they did, to
I know they
pre,
were having a bunch of email problems and this and that, so.
okay, so board,
We were going to look at a
I
revised
guess-
plan.
do you have a revised plan, Steve?
We don't have it now, there was no revised plan, just the last one.
All right.
So board, we could close the hearing and issue the order without releasing it until DEP updates their numbers. The order does have the correct numbers in it now. Or we can just hold off.
I was going to hold, speaking
up to
for
you guys.
myself,
Yeah.
I was going to hold off because I have a note that I was looking for a revised plan. Steve says there's not, like, I wonder if they're going to revise the plan.
And we don't have our
hate to
meeting
have-
minutes to look at.
And we don't have meeting minutes, and I
Okay.
also have, we've seen it in the past where they come back and they have revised the plan anyways, and they, so I would hesitate
Mm-hmm. That's
to
fine.
approve something that I don't trust to be stable.
I agree, it should be
Okay.
a short meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 175 Southwest Main Street
So moved.
To September 13th?
to September
13th.
13th, 7 PM. Motion made by Mike,
Second.
seconded by Eric. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Thank you. Okay, next item, request amendment to an order of conditions, public hearing continued for plan change, DP 1430955, 225 U Street, Torrance Joyce. Okay, do you want to just give us an overview of the updates from,
Yeah, so they filed for amended order of conditions, public hearing, notified DEP. There was a series of comments from the commission at the last meeting. They notified DEP, they contacted DEP, I got an email back and forth on that. I actually gave them some snapshots of other plans, so they put the new well and put the distance to the deck and the stockpile area location in. They're staying out of the 50-foot buffer zone.
Good.
That should about cover it.
This was needed, we were missing a stamp from the Board of Health on this one.
Yeah, the septic approval. We got a copy of that, right?
Yeah, I have an email from Kristen Harris at 713 that approved it.
Okay.
I do have that.
Okay.
And as far as DEP approval that I was tasked with at the last meeting, I spoke to Kim Roth, who is the wetlands agent for this county, and also Judy Smits, who is the section chief. They informed me there's no form or anything that I need to fill out. I simply file it with them, and they kind of keep it as a matter of record. The only time they hear anything with a form is when there's an appeal, and there's no appeal in this instance. Both of them asked me to file an extension to the order of conditions. They didn't have a copy of that, which I already did in May. So I provided them a PDF of that, and they said that satisfied whatever they required, and the decision would fall on the commission for the amended order of conditions.
Okay. All right. Thank you for checking in. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, name and address, Terrence Joyce, 225 U Street. To one other comment about the DEP, Kim Roth, the agent, provided me her mobile number. If anybody wanted it, I didn't want to share it via email or in the public meeting, but I'll share it offline if someone would like it to contact her in any capacity.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Board, anyone questions? Or Eric, do you remember this one? There was a previous order issued? No? Steve, any other comments?
I think it's he's done everything we've asked for, and it's a much better plan. I think that would really improve.
What's the last revision date on that?
2 days ago.
Thursday, it's
You see that? It's 8/9/21.
yeah, it's the 9th, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this hearing?
Oh, it's public hearing.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing for this one.
So moved.
Motion made by Art,
Second.
second by Mike, roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montbany, aye.
Mike? Mike?
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to grant the amendment to the order of conditions for 225 U Street with our standard conditions.
So moved.
Motion made by Art,
Second.
second by Eric, roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Art Montbany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, perfect. Have fun.
Thank you very much.
You're all set.
Appreciate it.
We'll get that signed up when, probably next meeting, and then someone will call you to pick it up.
Okay,
And I believe it still needs to be recorded.
so I just kind of sit tight and wait to hear from Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get all the erosion controls in place and get prepped up, and then call him for inspection.
Okay, great. Steve, thanks so much for your help.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Okay, new business. It's now 7:45. Public hearing, notice of intent, 0 Makowski Drive. Care Brink Anthony Terrazzini, Terrazzilla? I'm not sure how to say that. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516. Legal notice for public hearing pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing August 16th, 2021 at 7 PM for a notice of intent filed by Anthony Taralizza, located at 0 Makowski Drive, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves construction of a single-family house, detached garage, septic system, and driveway. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's June 2021 and March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. Public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on conservation agenda posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the notice of intent may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission, 508-476-4000, extension 205, August 11th.
Yeah, so I know you wanted that changed, that got submitted right before the last,
That's okay.
the day after, so I didn't get the submitted to the right time.
So it's not 5 business days that this went in. Wednesday, 8/11 to today is 5 days minus 2 for the weekend. It's only been 3 days,
That,
right? No,
Went in
4
Wednesday.
days. Yeah.
Today's the 4th day.
I thought that went in last week.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
You sure that's not when I printed it?
It says August 11th, 2021.
Might have printed that Saturday.
No, it says appeared in Worcester Telegram and Gazette on Wednesday, 8/11.
Oh, okay.
So today would only be the 4th business day.
Yeah. And I don't think the day of the meeting counts.
Probably not. Yeah, so you're short.
Well, you can, you have to re-advertise, re-notify, you can still probably get an overview. And, I had a bunch of comments, so I don't think they're ready for, I haven't seen any revised plans.
You have not seen the revised plans? So this was a previously approved lot. I have the file in front of me.
No, I get, this is a brand new one.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is it? Oh, you just don't have, it's 10?
No deep.
Doesn't have a DEP number yet. Yeah, okay.
We actually do have a DEP file number. Sorry, my name is Karen Skinner-Catroni. I'm representing the applicant. The DEP file number came in pretty late this afternoon.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you repeat your name and address, please?
Sure, my name is Karen Skinner-Catroni. I'm a wetland delineator. My address is 63 Gilbert Drive in Stoughton, Mass.
Okay, thank you. So the advertisement wasn't 5 business days before our meeting, so we'll have to just speak generally because I can't open it yet. It'll have to be re-advertised, but not re-notified.
What is your what's your next meeting date?
September 13th.
Thank you.
So you received Steve's comments,
I did.
and if you could get the plan revised to us before, a couple days before the next meeting so we can take a look at it.
So yeah, I'd shoot for a week early. Is that good? Is that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we usually like to do a site walk. So when you're addressing Steve's questions on the wetland crossing, if we could get some sort of demarcation out in the field.
So it's flagged now.
Okay.
Where,
Is the center line of the driveway staked?
It is not, but I can have that staked.
I think that's what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
that's
Steve.
fine. Thank you.
I'm trying to generally speak about it because I don't want to do anything.
Whereabouts
That's
is
not-
Makowski Drive?
So I have it up on the screen here. So here's the
It's the
GIS of
entire town. Yep.
So I got it highlighted. So
Oh,
as you're
wow.
coming down the pike and you cross Perry Street, and right before you get into,
Uxbridge.
this is the Douglas Pike, and right, here's the Uxbridge town line. You actually have to go into Uxbridge a little bit to enter the driveway, and it comes into Makowski Drive. This is actually conservation land right here.
Cool.
Our Makowski, Mr. Makowski donated this years ago. And so this is the property right here. It's the first one on the left. There's actually a gate here that the Makowskis, or whoever owns this property now, have up, so you have to drive, and then you'll see a little ditch here to the left, probably, and if there's a stake, you put a stake right on Makowski Drive, Karen, so they can kind of see where to walk in.
Okay,
And then you're gonna walk in, and there's like a wetland here, and then the house is going back here. So there's a crossing, the first crossing, if you see the plans, I can bring the plans up, is right where the ditch is. It's almost like the roadway ditch that she flagged, and then there's another crossing back here somewhere. And the house is going up in this area.
Okay, so once we receive the revised plan, and if you could let Steve know when the center line of the driveway is staked, and as long as the commission can go, we can try to get a site walk in before the September 13th meeting.
that would be great. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and some of the important things would be go to the building department, get an address.
Okay. I saw that in your comments. I spoke to the engineer about that. They said that the census card says 0.
You have to go to the building department to get one assigned to you.
Okay,
There's no buildings on there, so years from now, if you confuse it, because it could be another 0 Makowski someday on the other side.
okay, I can do that.
Nobody gets numbered 0.
Utilities, show the utilities, wetland delineation. You just did some field data forms. I'm not sure if you have a report or anything, or when you did
I
it.
did, I submitted a narrative.
Okay, when you did it, we did it, on the
Oh,
plan.
I have that in the narrative, yeah.
Okay, you can put that on the plan too, the plan date. And then I'll give you a copy of, we have a replication policy. And typically, we like to have on a sheet that shows the entire replication, and I can send you a recent crossing we did.
Okay,
It's some plan sheets, so you can kind of mirror what they did for the amount of type of information we like on the plan.
great, thank you.
Okay, so hopefully we will have everything ready to roll, and, you know, we can try to expedite it so that you're all set the next meeting.
Yeah, so you might not be familiar, because I'm not sure you've been worked in Douglas before, but they have a 50-foot, they like a 50-foot no build zone unless it's necessary. So I know one of your detached garage structures within the 50-foot.
Right, I spoke to the engineer about that tonight. We didn't see that in the regs.
It's,
In the policy, so I'll give you,
yeah, our local bylaw.
yeah, we have bylaw and then we have policies. If you want, I'll send you a copy of the policies.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone in the audience have any questions or comments or was here for this hearing? Okay. All right, well, that's good. Okay, so if you could just get Steve.
Can I ask one question before you close that?
Sure.
So, Steve, I got all your comments, which are very good comments. I was prepared to respond to those tonight. Would it be easier for the commission if I put that in writing, so you can review that prior to the next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, and as long as the plan revisions reflect Steve's comments.
Absolutely.
Most of them are plan, I think are plan
Yes, yeah.
changes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the plan was pretty detailed. I mean, some of the crossing information, making sure that the culvert inverts and outverts, and, you know, how it's constructing those, and the width and the type of pipe. I'm not sure if there's a stream or anything, or calculations for the pipe flows and stuff like that. But we can talk about that at the next meeting.
Okay. I'm bored. Any general comments? No. Okay, so we'll, Steve will put him on the agenda for September 13th at 7 PM.
I got a question for Steve.
Oh, sure.
Hey, Steve, could you show us the picture you had on the screen earlier with, I'd like to see where Douglas Pike and Mikowski,
Oh, the map, the assessor's map.
can you put it up there
Right
again?
here.
Before you leave, we had to schedule a site.
Okay, so here's Douglas, can you see my cursor?
Yeah,
Douglas Pike, I'm crossing Perry Street right here.
You can go to.
across the West Street?
No, that's fine. And then I'll.
This is Perry Street right here.
Facilitate
Perry, okay.
scheduling it, that's all.
Here's Douglas Pike, I'm coming down to Douglas Pike,
You don't-
and here's the town line right here.
I don't know, I agree, I just,
So
Art and I
Okay.
want to go.
the entrance to Mikowski Drive is off Douglas Pike, and it's right after the town line for Uxbridge. There's actually a little
Knock
school
your
bus turnaround.
socks off.
That's part of the entrance
your-
to
what
Mikowski
did you
Drive.
No, you gotta,
Okay.
I can't believe there's
You know,
And
you
you just,
do.
when you pop into there, you take a right. If you're heading towards Uxbridge, you just take a right, and
it's a lot.
it's right on the left.
Doesn't make any sense. Okay, thank you very much, Steve.
You're welcome.
Mike, I could set you up on your GPS too.
Have I done what?
I could set you up on your GPS if you want.
Oh, no thanks.
Okay.
Want to know where it was? This is my hood.
Steve, meeting minutes. I did request Jen to look into it.
Do we
Yeah,
need,
I see they're looking.
do we need to continue that last one?
I can open it. Yeah,
It's not open yet.
yeah.
Yeah, the minutes, we're
There.
6 months behind now, so.
6 months? Wow. So Steve, how do we get some meeting minutes?
Please don't say we have to write them ourselves.
Who's doing meeting minutes?
What about the planning board? What about the building? I mean, how is everybody else? getting
Zoning
minutes?
board?
The small committees write their own, and I don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to volunteer. It'll never end.
terrible.
It'll never end.
How do the selectmen get theirs done?
They have an executive
Just for the select.
assistant. Okay, so what would you like us to do? So we need the meeting minutes because I don't know what the statutory requirement is for approval of minutes, but
I mean, do we have a new person? I'm not sure if she's doing them for people, or?
she's not, I don't believe at this moment. Yeah, Jen Kuchar. I did email her 2 weeks ago, I think, and you were CC'd back. I sent her that chart that you sent me about the missing minutes.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I didn't include you on the email, but she said she was working on it.
She's having a hard time. Right, is she doing meeting minutes for other?
I don't think so.
Let me contact her again then.
So she might,
Town needs to hire, I think they had an ad out for someone to do meeting minutes. I'm not sure if anyone's taking it.
it was like months and months that nobody was, we
Yeah,
had nobody to take minutes.
they should
Yeah.
put it on the senior tax discount program.
Okay, 7/28. What day is this?
Today
20
is
days
the
ago?
16th, yeah.
So, hold on. Meeting minutes. So Steve, any ideas on how we're going to be able, oh, here it is, 8/5, 8/5.
Still 11 days.
So Karen's got a chat. She's recommending that we continue Mikowski Drive to the 13th, just as a procedural thing. She's
Okay.
gonna be notified.
I didn't open it.
So I'm sorry, that was my question. I did
Okay.
notify, so I'm not sure you want to continue
Re-notify.
because the abutters were notified.
No, it wouldn't be considered continued because I could not open the hearing because it was not advertised in time. If there were any abutters here tonight, they would have known that it was continued to September 13th. And if they didn't know, then it will be posted for September 13th.
We're telling the hypothetical.
Would you like me to send out a letter, just regular mail, to let them know?
Yeah, sure. That'd be nice.
Okay, thank you, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Do we want to do our meeting minutes too? While you're at it?
I've done those for 25 years.
Okay.
She's not, she's done.
I see, this will be 10
Thank you.
meetings.
No problem, thank you. March 3rd, do you have that we approve those?
We never did February 22nd. We never did March 1st. We did do March 15th.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, when the other lady was here, she did the most recent one at the time in the
Oh,
spring.
and she was going to work backwards.
So this will be 10 behind that we don't have anything for.
Okay. Steve, are you going to be asking someone to do a couple, or should I interject myself?
Who am I gonna ask?
I don't know.
Maybe we need to get on this Board of Selectmen's agenda to get something.
Okay, so how about if I'll just inject myself, or interject, whichever way.
Interject sounds good.
And we want the oldest ones first.
Or all of them at once.
Now that's being greedy.
I can give them a list if they need it.
Okay. All right. Steve, anything else before I leave?
That's it.
We had,
Oh, the site walk?
yeah,
Yeah, I was,
a West Street
Tracy doesn't
sidewalk.
want
to talk Yeah.
about it.
That's Iron Sand folks.
Yes.
And the Maniacs wanted some notice. And I saw some email traffic,
they were going to stake it, so we got to pick out what day we want to go on our site walk.
right.
When do you want to go? Well, actually, I guess we should start with, it's staked now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent an email to everybody. It should be staked, and just notify the owner before you wanna go.
Could we why don't you pick 2 days?
Okay.
You said there were certain days during the week that you were available?
Yeah, Friday would work for me, or the following Monday.
I could
So-
I could do Friday,
Friday, the 20th,
yes.
with a backup of Monday, the 23rd.
I'm not sure about Monday. In fact,
Okay.
I know I can do Friday. I looked at the rest of this week. I didn't look at next week.
Okay.
I'll email the owner that, you know what time?
10 and 2?
No, I usually have meetings at 9 and 10
How
o'clock.
about 1 PM?
1 PM sounds good.
1 PM, we're going to shoot for the 20th of August.
So
And
this Friday.
Yeah.
at least a couple of, anybody who can make it,
What's the street number for that one?
39 West, I think.
Thank you. I know.
Okay, Steve, I'll work on the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, board. Anybody else have anything before I leave? I'll see you in a month.
13th.
September 13th.
Is that a month?
Go in there and pound on some tables.
No, it's less than a month. We're
Oh.
we're a good way
Okay.
into August.
I'll try to get a couple. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm leaving for the night.
Okay.
Note in the minutes.
Okay.
And I'm handing it over to Katie Grace. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Good night.
For those of us who
Everybody.
feel like we've been here for a long time, maybe it's just me, I'm going to reorient everyone. Okay, so we opened the meeting. We started with this discussion. We discussed 1, 2, and 3. We skipped 4. We went on to old business. We continued 1, 2, and 3. We approved 4. Technically 5 was never opened. We're going to talk about that on the 13th. So now we are going back to discussion item 4. Oh, actually, special note, because I know this is a concern for probably those of us who are still sitting here, that 2 for the Shore Road Lot 299 parcel 7.16 was continued till September 13th, so we won't be discussing that tonight. However, we are going to go discussion item number 4, the Shore Road washout update. Steve, do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I can start if you want.
Go ahead, thank you.
Yeah, so, after the last meeting, there was, the culvert was put in, and there was a lot of discussion due to the fact that there, the culvert was smaller than the 12-inch. Everyone anticipated, I believe, a 12-inch pipe that matched the plan and matched what was coming through the miller's property, and that 8-inch pipe was put in. And so there was a lot of general discussion on that. There was some discussion on the impacts of the solar farm, and there was some discussion on a little bit about the house that's being proposed right now. So I was in contact with Kim Ross, the wetlands regional wetland person, and I think the regional director, Schmidt. They are aware of the situation. I think through all the calls they were getting prior to the culvert being put in, and it's pending that they probably at some time would like to do a site walk relatively soon to look at the all three, or look at the soil over. So I think DEP has some eyes on it, and they're wanting to look at it. It's my understanding.
Who's they again?
DEP.
Judy Smith and Kim Ross from the Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There was also an issue with the discharge.
There was also a discussion of water quality. I recall that. So I want to talk to that as well. So I guess I'll break. Yeah. Is that all you had for now, Steve?
That's what I think. There's some emails maybe some neighbors were sending.
Yep.
And I did forward those on water.
I appreciate that.
I forwarded those to them also. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Them being the DEP.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we had this discussion. I really don't want to have to rediscuss discussions that we've already had. Understood. We had a discussion about the 8-inch versus 12-inch pipe. I did ask for background data. I got data that supported the 12-inch pipe and explained why we ended up with the 8-inch pipe. I don't want to regurgitate that argument or the discussion at this time. The fact is, what we were going to go, the plan was a 12-inch. We have an 8-inch installed that is working. The question is, should it be a 12-inch? Bottom line is I'm not going to try and answer that here, but we do need a notice of intent for this plan. The emergency order grants that the construction go ahead and get done, which it did, which everybody appreciates that this got done. But we need to see a notice of intent. I have a note from the last meeting that said, that the Millers are saying that Fred and Cliff should have to file the NOI. So I don't know, is anybody called into here that has any intent upon supplying the NOI?
Cliff Van Reed. First I've heard of that.
Okay. All right, yes. So with the emergency order, we do need a notice of intent.
We, Fred and I, Douglas Property, did not install the pipe, so I question whether we should be the ones to do the notice of intent.
Okay. I think that's a good question. That's unfortunately not something that I can answer. I mean, again, this keeps coming back to the fact that I don't have an owner for the road. So I can't decide who I need to get that notice of intent from, but the fact is that I do need one.
Steve, you got any input into that?
Right.
Steve?
Steve's on mute.
Sorry, what was that?
Just any inputs. So Cliff was unaware, Cliff from Douglas Properties was unaware that there needed to be an NOI. And he felt since Douglas Properties didn't do the installation, that he questions whether or not Douglas Properties would be the one to submit the NOI.
Yeah, we could have legal counsel for, respond on our behalf.
I would love that. I would absolutely be happy to figure it out that way, yes. Okay. I'm going to note that. That's not something I can do immediately. Okay. So I'm going to try and keep this discussion compartmentalized for the sake of order. Right now, we're talking about the size of the pipe and the NOI. I noticed that, Jean, you have your hand raised. Anyone who wants to speak on the size of the pipe can do so. If you can
You're on mute. I think you're on mute.
I'm on mute? I am on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute.
You're a what?
I'm on mute. I'm not on mute anymore, but I was on mute. Thank you. All right, so what I was going to call for is that I'm going to go ahead with that. I'm going to note that we're going to seek legal counsel to see who we should find to file the NOI so that we can get one. And you all agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I didn't take a vote. Should I take a vote? No.
This is
Okay.
This
is a discussion.
This is just a discussion.
Okay. And so so the other thing I said is I would really like to compartmentalize this discussion as much as possible for the sake of organization. So I was going to make a call for anybody from the public who has a comment on the size of the pipe or the NOI. Anybody who wants to speak on those, and of course, name and address. So I saw Jean had her hand raised before. Sarah, can you unmute her?
Yeah, so, thank you. Well, I guess, I just wondered what.
Name and address again?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jean
No.
Lawrence, 119 Shore Road.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, what is the purpose of the notice of intent? Like, I know the notice of intent would tell you in advance and you'd approve the plan. I just wondered, why would there be hesitance about filing it? Does it cost money or, yeah, I'm just trying to understand what it is, and does it involve a lot of work or money?
It involves work. Steve, could you further answer?
Yeah, I guess, it involves the emergency. I think the emergency was because there was a blockage in the culvert and try to alleviate the amount of runoff that was going through. And the commission
Right.
was asking for, now that that work was done, notice of intent for, as backup.
So you have something on record?
And it was done properly.
Okay. I just wondered what the reason would be for hesitance to file it. I also just wanted to mention that at a prior meeting, it was said that the break in the culvert was 2 feet from, or the block in the culvert was 2 feet from the green fence at the Miller's property. So I didn't know if the break was actually on their property, because that fence isn't the border of their property, I don't think. But anyway, in terms of who should file it, I just wondered what the hesitation was.
No, that's all. Yeah, no, it's again, I don't know how much it costs, but I mean, I know in my industry, if somebody had to draw up a plan for a thing, it would be money and hours, yes.
I see, okay.
Okay.
I also would just like to say, I understand appreciation that we got something there. But my understanding was, Mr. Bunry can comment, but that he offered to put in a 12-inch pipe and it somehow ended up an 8-inch pipe. And I want to make sure that the drainage that goes into the Miller's property is actually 12 inches, so the whole thing eventually could be switched to 12 inch, but I understand you don't want to focus on that right now.
Well, so that's the thing. I would like, I guess that's part of the reason that I'm asking for an NOI, is because that's where I want to work from. I want to work from an engineered plan to say, all right, yeah, it really needs to be 12 inches or not. I understand we were kind of already there, but I haven't seen a calc for that. My understanding is the 8 inch is working. I understand there are concerns that we might need a 12 inch. And I would like to see the engineering to back that up. I think a lot of us have a gut feel as to whether or not 8 inches is sufficient or 12 inches is necessary. But right now, that's just the way that we're all gut feeling. None of those, I don't have an engineered plan that shows that. I know that I have gotten some paperwork to the intent that that was part of the original plan, but I don't have like a full, like stormwater management plan, if you will.
Yeah, okay.
So, all right, so that's the NOI. We're going to seek legal counsel on that. Are there any other comments on the size of the pipe or the NOI?
Can I just say, I think you mentioned that the culvert was working, but I was wondering on what basis you convinced that?
The term working means that water is flowing through it.
Oh, I see, okay. So, just for the record, I called, like, when we had very heavy rains, I think I wrote this to Steve in an email, so I forget the date, but there was a lot of heavy rains for several hours. And 2 neighbors went to check the culvert, and there wasn't water that appeared to be flowing into it.
Okay.
Was very puzzling. So it was hard to tell whether it was working because there was no water entering it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that happened before. If you remember in the June meeting, it was commented at that time that there was no problem with the culvert and the wetlands was dry. And I actually confirmed that comment, that it was dry. Madeline Myers and I saw that it was dry, but we were very puzzled because it seemed to like dry up kind of quickly. So anyway, I had a question about, whether wetlands can just stop. I mean, that was flowing an enormous amount of water.
Mm-hmm.
It went on for a week. There were 3 fire hoses, and then later, it was a long, hard rain, and water didn't accumulate in it at all, and it wasn't because it was going through the pipe. It wasn't reaching the pipe. So I think you should be aware of that, and that's something that if the DEP does a site walk or something, they should somehow look into. I don't know if something could have changed on the solar farm or the direction of the brooks that feed that wetlands or something like that. But
Yeah. So I'll say that it certainly seems like this area, things have been very volatile in the area, just meaning that there's been a lot of changes after that rain event. And wetlands are funny things, and I suppose they can. Again, this is part of the reason I'm leaning on that NOI. I want to see a plan that shows the area. But thank you for mentioning that, because I didn't know you had those concerns. I did go through the emails and I hadn't noted that, so I've noted that now.
okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, yeah, Greg? Name and address again?
Yeah, Greg Bentley, 119 Shore. Just to reiterate what Gene was saying, it seemed, and we only have a storm or so anecdotal evidence, but it almost seems like there might have been some kind of crossover up the mountain where it's coming down further to the south to the other culvert and not coming down to that wetland anymore. I would just suggest that if a site walk is done, they should go up the hill and just make sure they find out what's going on from the solar farm down. And I'll just point out one thought, and this is just our engineering opinion. An 8-inch pipe is deficient by default. It's too easily clogged up in the middle of the winter, or if a beer can falls into it, I'm deeply concerned over the coconut logs they put around it. It's a nice protective measure for the opening, but it has no head wall on it. And when those coconut logs start falling apart next spring, they're going to potentially clog it up themselves. But we're just concerned that I mean, anecdotally, we have the video of Madeline's driveway. We're talking about heavy CFS running through there. This wasn't any, 8-inch pipe capacity, not even close. And so I agree, and I very much appreciate the fact that the board is seeking an NOI generator and some calculations, and we'd love to see that accomplished. But just based on the anecdotal evidence, the chances that 8-inch pipe are going to survive the next event are minimal at best, and will definitely be at risk in a winter environment. So just throw that on the table for thought process, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. No, appreciate your inputs, particularly if we do.
I was just gonna say.
Regarding 8-inch versus 12-inch pipe?
Cliff, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Fred and I, Douglas Properties, we got a quotation from Ferguson Waterworks for a 12-inch pipe, corrugated PVC pipe, and we came to the conclusion that it required a 12-inch pipe because that's what the state uses under highways. And also the John Furno and the building commissioner all strongly wanted a 12-inch pipe. And that's what we wanted too. And I've got a quote I sent to Steve for a 12-inch pipe. And I've also got copies here if you'd like to see them. But the installation was being done by the Millers, and Mrs. Miller was very persistent in wanting an 8-inch pipe, 8-inch ductile iron. Why? I'm not sure. But they were doing the installation. So I said we'd order a 12-inch, but I'm not ordering an 8-inch pipe because we don't feel after our research of the matter that it would be sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
And your background is, you have a background as a civil engineer,
Yes,
correct?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a civil engineer. And so Mrs. Miller ordered, I said, I'm not ordering an 8-inch pipe because we were going to order it and pay for it. But that was if it was a 12-inch pipe.
Yep.
So I said, I'm not ordering an 8-inch pipe. So she made the order and they went and picked it up, picked the pipe up.
Okay.
I'd really like to know why the Millers wanted an 8-inch ductile iron pipe.
Okay.
Because we never thought it was sufficient.
Okay. Yes, I saw your order from Ferguson, and I saw the paperwork that you're speaking of, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, certainly. Ms. Miller, did you want to speak now, or?
Did he submit the invoice that he ordered it and paid for it?
He submitted, yeah, I have the paperwork on here.
Did he submit the one that he actually ordered it and paid for it with his name on it?
I will grab it. Let me find it.
I did not order it, I did not pay for it, he ordered it.
That's not correct. She ordered it.
No, I
We
didn't.
paid, we did pay for it because I had an agreement that I would pay for the pipe. I didn't want to renege on my agreement, so we paid for the pipe. But we, Douglas Properties, Fred or I, did not order an 8-inch pipe.
No, I see that the quote is for Douglas, price quotation B419261, Ferguson Waterworks, 1985, 57 Southwest Cutoff in Worcester, Mass. It was a cash on sales, cash on demand, customer pickup, and it is a 12-inch by 20 N12 F2648 SLD HTP pipe with a split end pipe and a PVC coup. So yeah, it is, it's for a 12-inch pipe.
Is that a quote? That's a quote.
Correct, but it's an order. It's not, it is a quote with an order that the intent is that the customer would come pick it up.
There were several quotes probably, but that's not what he bought.
Okay, that's the only thing I have paperwork for.
This is what he called up and bought, not me.
Dang, I don't believe it.
And that's, they ordered it and that's who paid for it.
Not true.
Okay, I want to ask Mrs. Miller, while you're here,
It's the same one.
did you, Cliff is saying that you were insistent upon using an 8-inch pipe. He wanted to get a 12-inch pipe. Is that correct? That you wanted to get an 8-inch
No,
pipe?
I was not insistent. He wanted a 12-inch plastic pipe that's only 10 inches of cover. The ductile line is stronger, and it was talked with the building department, it was talked with conservation, it went all the way around. I'm not the one that decided on the size of the pipe. I'm not the one that paid for it.
Okay, I think I had seen something that John Furno was in agreement with a 12-inch pipe. He's the,
There is, John Furno asked for a number,
a 12-inch.
There were discussions on many size pipes and many different types of pipe.
so, yep.
From ductile line to concrete to plastic.
Well, right now, we're talking about the diameter. Somehow we got from a couple of civil engineers and the highway department recommending a 12-inch pipe.
And somehow it turned into an 8.
Somehow it turned to an 8. So where did the 8 come from? Who?
So this is the same sales order, 1985, that I'm looking at that says a 12-inch pipe, and I'm looking at the one in my hand, has an 8-inch pipe without the end caps, and somehow it's more money.
I see it.
So I don't know why, I don't know how this ended up happening. I don't.
Could I make one more comment?
You may.
I had a direct telephone conversation with Diane Miller. We wanted to order the 12-inch pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And during that call, she was persistent that no, it had to be an 8-inch ductile iron pipe. And that's the way it was left, and I'm reiterating, but I said I'm not ordering an 8-inch pipe, which we didn't. So she ordered.
No, I know. Okay. I wasn't on that phone call. I don't know who anyone else who was on that phone call, so I'm not gonna, I can't do he said, she said. I do appreciate having this, thank you. But I also have one for the 12-inch. I have one of each, right? And I know that there's an 8-inch in the ground right now, so. I don't know how that happened. I can't go back in time and change how that happened. I can only move forward, and that's why I'm looking for a notice of intent. Yes.
Do we know who installed the pipe?
Yes.
Is that,
No.
Well, I know who installed the pipe.
He paid for it, but he didn't, Cliff paid for it, but he didn't install it.
No, it was the Millers and the neighbors down the street that are contractors. Mr. Narducci and his two sons, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, that's a different subject. The installation.
Well, we can talk about the installation next, but I mean, it really doesn't change the fact that I'm asking for an NOI. I can't go back in time and change the discussion that happened. Because even if everybody somehow magically agreed that it was supposed to be 8 inches, if we come back with a plan that's 8 inches and it doesn't make any sense, then we're going to say that it should be 12.
Right, if the DEP does a site walk and they say it's going to be 12.
Right. It doesn't matter, even if I had, 100 people in this room who thought it should be 8 inches, that doesn't make a difference. All right. Thank you. I'm going to move on to a discussion, because I was going to move from here to the discussion on the solar plant, because Jean brought up a good conversation, how much does the solar plant upstream change the flow of water downstream? Do we have somebody representing the solar farm here today? I don't have Lawrence. Usually we have Lawrence cooking here. Didn't make it today. It's fine. Probably went on vacation. It's that time of year. Okay. That's something that we will put on the sidewalk. I appreciate the note that the solar farm probably impacts the water flow, and that's something that we'll look into when we can go, and it's something we'll bring up with the DEP as well. And that's something that should be factored into on the NOI. I will take input from the group. Madeline Myers, did you want to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to say.
Name and address, sorry.
Okay, I would like to say, as I've said previously, when the 12-inch pipe was, the 12-inch pipe was always there. There was never an issue. Once the pipe corroded or was blocked, or after years of neglect, it collapsed, and it made this a tremendous water flow on my property that I never anticipated. We had talked about spongy ground a few years ago, wetlands, water being diverted, didn't know how. However, now my yard is really, really destroyed, not through any fault of my own, but through water diversion, a high berm, concrete bags along the flow of water, which never went in that direction. Water doesn't take a right-hand turn. And I want to know what's going to be done about that. This might be an ongoing problem. If we have a smaller pipe, we have more rain. I mean, who knows? I just want to know that the town is aware that there's a serious problem here in my yard that was not at all started by anything that I did in my yard or anything like that. We lived in, since 1955 without any problems. So please take that into effect. Thank you.
Certainly, Madeline. Can you reiterate what's your address again?
117 Shore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, yep. No, understood, and we will look at, I will somehow get an NOI, and we will evaluate that. All right. Solar farm. And then the...
Steve,
Yep.
Do we have any information on the likelihood and time frame of the DEP doing a site walk with their experts?
They emailed, yes. Well, I was hoping, they emailed me last week, requesting what would be the best times, and then they came back and I said, nights or Saturday would probably be best, and so they recommended that they can do probably in the evening, for early evening at some time, and I responded Monday or Saturday saying that would be great. Just let me know what day and time. I said I couldn't do today because we have a meeting today.
Yeah.
This was Saturday, and but any other evening would be fine. Just I said let me know. I needed probably a day or two notice so I could let the solar farm, Lawrence Cook, unlock it,
Yeah.
And give access. But they haven't responded to my email I sent on Saturday.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. No, I'm glad that they're interested.
I think that's got to happen, so.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Okay, great. And then the next item I wanted to talk about was water quality, because I saw a few emails of that. But before I start, Jean, did you want to say something else?
She's muted.
I know.
Jean, do you have your hand up, or is that just stuck up?
No, I had my hand up.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh.
Oh, Douglas Cable is muted again, yeah?
Oh, yes, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, okay. A couple of things. It seems that some kind of coordination between the Concom and the building commissioner and possibly Mr. Furno, the highway, to help solve some of these problems, because there is information on both ends that's relevant. For example, the discussion about 8 inches or 12-inch pipe, the building permit for the property that is in between the wetlands and the lake requires a 12-inch pipe. So it wouldn't make any sense to put an 8-inch pipe married to a 12-inch pipe, or vice versa, right? So, those kinds of things need to be taken into consideration. In addition, the solar farm and the design of it, and whether it was functioning properly during all of this and will function properly in the future, I think has the building commissioner would also weigh in on that. And I believe, I don't want to misquote him, but I think I was talking to him about some kind of peer evaluation, independent review of the solar farm design and so forth. And I think he said that he was requiring them to get that, although they were going to get to pick the engineering did it. I think he said that.
That would make sense.
So these kind of efforts could be coordinated, and it would be really nice, like when the DEP comes, if we could give them, they could take a comprehensive look at the area, which I guess is what is planned.
Yeah.
The area meaning the lake with Thor Road and the solar farm above and the culverts and all those issues. So if it were possible, I'd at least like to communicate, at least on behalf of other neighbors or anybody who wants to weigh in, what their particular concerns are or their observations, so that we can maximize the information to the DEP site visit and from the DEP site visit. And I think related to that, I don't know if you're going to talk about that, but in addition to just water, there was a question of erosion with runoff, dark colored runoff.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just going to get to that.
There's a host of issues that need to be looked at together.
Understood.
So I don't know if you ever worked with another, so I'm sitting here thinking, I should contact Mr. Frazier and ask him this or that, but I don't know whether you people ever do that. Like, do you communicate with them to work together on some of these problems that require expertise or regulations from both groups?
Yes, we're fully capable. That's generally something that Steve would do as our expert, but that's absolutely something that we're capable of. So I appreciate your recommendation that we talk to the other committees on that issue.
Okay, and I think, neighbors, like, I'm willing to, if there's something I can help.
I appreciate it.
Jean, you're muted.
She got muted again.
Oh, I wanted to say, you people are volunteering, so we appreciate that. And if there's, some kind of information gathering or something that we can provide to you to help work this out so we don't stay bogged down in it, that would be great. I'm willing, and others I think are as well.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate your emails, so. Excellent. So yes, the next thing that I did want to talk about was water quality. So this is a complicated issue because Although I've heard reddish brownish colors, I've heard talk about erosion. Erosion is something that somebody, you know, obviously with a civil engineering background can understand and can look at, and that's something that we should look at in a site walk. In terms of water quality monitoring, I also volunteer for the Blackstone Valley water quality monitoring effort. Unfortunately, my area, we don't monitor the water coming out of Wallem Lake because Wallem Lake, while it is part of the Blackstone watershed, flows into the Blackstone through Rhode Island. So if you wanted outflow information from the Wallem Lake, we would have to talk to the Rhode Island quality monitors. And I was just looking up before this meeting to see if I knew who the site coordinator was in Rhode Island, and I don't, but I can ask my site coordinator, talk to their site coordinator, and that would be of interest because while I could, you know, grab my own little water testing kit and I could go out to Wallem Lake and I could test that water, I would have no baseline to compare that to because I've not tested that water prior to this event. I have nothing to compare to. It would be interesting to see what kind of results they're getting in the Rhode Island outflow because they would have event going back 15, 20 years, and then they would have the new metrics.
Comparisons then.
They do it every month.
Yeah.
And they've done it for years. However, Wallem Lake is a very large lake, and if they're only testing the outflow, they're going to get a composite result of the entirety of the lake. And this has been an overall unusual year with a high rainflow event in July. So I don't know what the value added of that would be, but I'd be willing to look into at least what Blackstone Valley water quality monitoring is getting. And also, I know we only test for things like dissolved hydrogen, nitrogen. We're looking for fertilizers. We're basically looking at, you know, lawn runoff and soap and stuff like that. We're not necessarily looking for whatever's running off into the water. And water pollutants are notoriously difficult to test for unless you know what they are. I mean, you can test things like the conductivity of water, but if it's particularly oily, it's going to be less conductive. If it's salty, it's going to be more conductive. And you don't necessarily know what the group of things in the water are making those change. So we can look at water quality from a testing perspective, but testing things now doesn't necessarily get us any more information. I think a visual assessment is valid. I appreciate the emails describing, hey, the color of the water appears different. That's absolutely valid data. Definitely looking at erosion occurrence, I think that's important. I think it's important to evaluate how much of the erosion occurred during the flood event and how much erosion is occurring after the flood event. And I would be willing to hear other items about the water quality board.
Well, I was thinking after our last meeting that even if we tested now, the same thing you just said, we don't have a baseline to compare it to. And it is such a large body of water that
anything's going to be
diluted.
diluted.
Diluted results. So if we could find a group that does have a history of doing some testing over the years, I think at least we could do some comparisons because I have some concerns about the long-term effects on the lake.
Absolutely.
Whether or not it's solar farm related or
oh yeah, any of the
latest July in the history of Douglas related, or you know.
Well, then that's the other thing. We could decide that it has no human causes, right? We could say that it changed and it's because we had a high water event in July, which we almost never have.
I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm looking to find out, make sure the resource is protected.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do I have any comments from the general public on the water quality? Yes, Madeline?
Yes. What I want to say is, even though Mr. Furno and Douglas Fire came in and put in a corn silt fence and hay bales, I still had, coming through the yard, a rusty, thick runoff that stained the rocks. And that, I've never seen that before. I don't know where, I mean, we probably have a lot of iron or minerals in the rocks here and in the soil, but it never, I mean, this continued for 10 days, and it was oily. Now, I don't know, it was really rusty. It was like a viscosity to it. You could put it in between your fingers and you could feel it. And my granddaughter, my daughter, and I've honestly never seen anything like this.
Okay.
It's worth looking into, because if there's like all that iron up there, you know, does it leach down into the lake? But during horrific storms, does it really impact the quality? You know?
Yeah, I do know. Iron would probably not be an issue, and actually what you're describing to me sounds like a bacterial or algae-based issue as opposed to an iron-based issue. I could ask somebody who has more expertise in that field.
Yeah, okay.
So that actually, I highly doubt that that's iron, is what you're seeing. I think what you're seeing is a type of red algae that I've seen in wetlands before. That kind of fits that viscosity. I would love to see pictures. Did you take any pictures of this?
I did
Wait.
send pictures to Steve.
You had some, Jean? Okay.
Yeah, I believe those got forwarded.
All right.
Maybe on Saturday, I think I forwarded them.
No, I just didn't see them, so maybe I just needed to go further back in my emails. But yeah, that should be, we can look into that. We can figure out what that is. Absolutely. I can ask some people who might know what that was, and whether or not that running off into the water, and whether or not your rocks are going to be permanently stained or if they'll come unstained eventually.
You know, the rocks are starting to become unstained, but that
makes sense.
runoff was also in the culverts along the other side of the
Oh, yeah.
street.
Yeah, that actually sounds consistent.
Okay.
All right, yeah, no, I'll try and see if I can figure out the name of that algae.
Greg is looking to.
Now, does that algae occur when there's a heavy rainstorm?
No, I think that you ended up with it during a heavy rainstorm. I think it was just sitting there on the other side, and it got washed over into your yard and therefore into Wallem Lake. So I think what I want to look at, the reason I want to pursue what you're mentioning is because I don't know if it does any damage if it ends up in the lake. I'm inclined to think not, but I'm curious now.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, anything else about water quality?
Greg has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Greg. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Hi, it's Greg Bentley, again, 119 Shore. Yeah, with regard to water quality, I didn't firsthand see that, the discolored water, but I did see some very good photographs of it, and I'll tell you, if there had been a landfill up on that hill somewhere, I would have been screaming blue murder. It looked like leachate. It was probably something with natural generation. I don't know what it was, but one thing that could be considered is just doing some grad testing, both upstream and downstream of the solar farm, to just make sure that we don't have some new. We've got a tremendous earth moving operation up there with new overland flow activity, and it could be something's coming out of your. I'm not familiar with the
geology,
rock formations up there, but there was definitely a stiff brew coming out of there after that storm sequence. And the other concern is, just the amount of, even before the big storms, I have photos I think I took of siltation going in the ditches and in the depressed area. One of them is a wetland for sure. The other one I'm not sure if it is, but on the east side of the road, there was a lot of siltation going there, and then there was a huge amount of material lost on our side of the road, all of which went into the lake. So as a person who's still seeking his first trout in that lake, that was a concern. And the lake is, for those of you who don't know, it's absolutely, I don't know what its chemical makeup is, but its clarity is beyond belief. You can see the bottom in some pretty deep spots there. It's just fantastic. So we want to be concerned about the fishery.
Oh, absolutely, and it's one of our few cold water resources as well in the region.
Right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I got the pictures, thank you. All right. Okay, yeah, the only action I really have to move forward with is we're going to do the site walk. We're going to take into account, we've got the solar farm in there. I'm going to look into, maybe I could figure out what that runoff is and contact Rhode Island Water Quality Monitoring. But the most important, well, I don't know if I want to rate them as to most or least important, but I guess the thing that we're having Steve do is Steve get us in contact with legal counsel about the NOI.
He's muted.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gene has another question.
All right, yeah, Jean or Greg, I see your hands are up. Do you still have additional comments or questions?
Yes, I had a comment, thank you. So with regard to the runoff.
Yeah.
And for the water clarity, as you said, though, it's going to get diluted, and so how much will show up, in the Rhode Island records, we don't know.
Very little,
but
yeah.
The images that what transpired, and this didn't happen just for a couple of days and just after the rain. It continued to kind of flow like that for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
The photographs that we have are kind of a record of what happened, and it would be good if the DEP didn't just go and look at what's there now, but what actually happened, and
okay.
The trench in Madeline's yard is very large, right? It's almost 2 feet deep or more, and it's I think 2 feet wide or more, and it's I guess going from the culvert, I mean, it's over 100 feet long. All of that went into the lake. And I remember I wasn't even thinking about it, and I went swimming like a week later, and I couldn't see my feet 3 feet below me.
Yeah.
So
very high
something
humidity.
definitely dumped into that lake, which isn't supposed to dump there. And making sure that this doesn't keep happening, even at a reduced level, is very much, important for the lake. And so I just want to say, like, we have documentation that could be shown to the DEP, if that would be helpful.
Okay.
Because it might be hard to measure some of these things now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so what you're describing with the visibility of the lake is described, the technical term is turbidity, and turbidity is something that only occurs temporarily, and even when it's measured with instrumentation, it's just a measurement of how much light passes through water. It's a visual assessment. So that's important to kind of have that narrative. And hopefully we can share that with the DEP, although I don't know that I will get an opportunity to meet the DEP. Hopefully that's something that Steve can convey to them when they do the site walk.
I also wanted to, I have contracted with an environmental consultant, a wetland specialist. He's the president of Natural Resource Services. I think he's fairly well known. And he was going to come tonight if some of the other discussion was going to occur about the property across the street.
Yeah.
But I'd like to request that maybe he could go on the site visit with the DEP. So anyway, I didn't know if I should disclose to you, but I had responded to an email asking if that was possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you would have to coordinate through Steve, because I don't know when they're coming either, so.
I told Steve that, so.
Awesome.
Didn't know if I should say that publicly. Just
Oh, that's great.
disclosure.
Thank you. All right. All right, so that's. Any other comments with regards to any of the subjects that we talked about? Awesome. Mrs. Miller, can I keep this? Yeah. Thank you. All right, board. Anything else? All right, if there's no other conversation, if there's no other topics, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Art, seconded by Mike. Oral call vote.
Eric Garside.
Art Monmany, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.